This is about my own father. When a parent is a sociopath, there was no single moment when I knew, like any child, the adoration of both of my parents was the sun, the sky, and the moon. Yet, as I grew, life became a constellation of truths and lies, woven within the complexities of an enormously accomplished father whom I discovered over a lifetime is a sociopath. This truth was like finding out one's own DNA holds the secrets of abuses others can only find unimaginable, incredulous, abhorrent. But with his maleficent nature, his yarn of destruction, which is as easy as inhalation and exhalation of breath. His victims are silenced by his perspicacious and pathological, megalomaniacal, mesmerizing charm, because by turn he appears to hold a normal human landscape within himself, until you're left buried and gasping for breath in a metaphorical grave he has shoveled you into as he pours champagne with his other free hand and thinks to himself, I got away with this again. And much like the fictional Chainsaw Massacre killer, his chainsaw is his spin of life, of lies and betrayals, as sharp as the mind that creates them. And as your mouth fills with the very dirt he has shoveled you into, that very often stinks of bullshit as well, you realize that you're in no film but a real-life horror story as you suffocate on the last hope that he might actually come back and dig you up, despite all evidence to the contrary. What makes this horror experience more disturbing and soul-breaking is that my father is also a man of a historic legacy. At one time very successful, but always in search of a feeding like a parasite on other people's money, name, successes, in keeping with a true sociopath's diet. He feeds on other person's lies, and he smiles with a delight with each feeding frenzy of magnificent scope and nature. Terror's never far. He is a vampire, prefers the light, and the center of it. He shines. My father's a man of dynamic personality made of brilliance and charisma, matched only by the worst of human nature that is intrinsically coded into his soul. Like the best of con artist professionals or psychopaths, his tools are crafted with decades of practice. And the secret the adult child holds is that to love him is to live a life built on life-threatening and deadly quicksand, suffocating betrayals, and at bottom, the shame that one's own and the shame that one's own compliance to cover up and keep his atrocities buried quickly stacks up like necrotic bodies in an overcrowded morgue that bears his name and drags your own to the gravestones. Unwittingly, you become an accomplice, that's the point. He takes no prisoners, as he always says. This guarantees the engraving stay and makes certain of it. First wife dead, second wife dead, third wife injured in a hit and run, fourth wife lands in prison. All promising lives ruin and worse they trusted him. Tragically, serenely, painfully, I cannot unlove him. A man who at one time demonstrated paternal love, it turns out he was willing to sell me over and over at a price, even at a discount. Like a human trafficking of the soul on sale. And to love him becomes unrecognizable danger like that of a deadly cobra, able to create a trance because it bites or kills. Or like MRSA, one will unlikely not rid one's body of, but may die from. He has nearly tried to destroy me with his very dangerous venom of delusional and truly breathtaking love, because to love him is to know you cannot survive him. You either break, die, or your life is left in shambles. This is his pathology. It is my deepest secret and shame. He is my deepest pain. And yet others admire his public mask of lies, an astonishing disguise. My father is diabolical and sick man, and like Ted Bundy or an O.J. Simpson, also very likable. He is a visible glow of darshan that hides the patina of his broken soul's design. He is a calculating mix of narcissistic borderline sociopathology with shades of clandestine evil, incapable of love, consciousness, or remorse. He is also very smart and funny. He can put you at ease before you even feel the first deadly cut. If there's money in his pocket for a greater moment in the spotlight, he lives and then destroys. I really mean he takes and then destroys. If you do not go along with his Peterson plan, pick either one, the multiple dead wives cop or the one who dismembered his wife and child. You become collateral damage for his own desire that can never be fulfilled. His emptiness kills. And like an empty cauldron of self-hate, he hides and ghosts as if the truth and God are even afraid. In the midst of this human nightmare, one cannot awaken from his glimmering moments of flicker, of bursts of, I will not hurt you today, only to turn into a gushing and bleeding artery that becomes the very gravity that will pull you in. He will pull you into the gates of hell with, and he will, and he does not care who is destroyed. Even his own children bleed. He feeds at will. As his own daughter lies fighting for her life, this does not touch his dead soul. She's been taken by ambulance too many times. He cannot decipher evil from love or care, and he doesn't care. It does beg the question, does he do these horrible things to survive, or because he knows he himself is dead inside? He is the keeper of the morgue of his own soul, bodies piled up wall to wall. After all, the devil's in the details. He does not like to leave trails, just entrails. It was his fourth wife before her life fell apart as she went to prison that began to clue me in that he was not just dangerous but a sociopath. She made a list and sent it to me when she feared for her own life. Every quality checked out and off like a shopping list of a human being whose DNA was given away by his own parents for a reason, a bad seed nobody wanted to love. And so he took this out on anyone weaker, especially those who have loved him, and does not go along with his evil. Wife number 4's salaries had been attached by the IRS, just as wife number 3's had, and just as his own deceased wife trust had to pay $40,000 debt to keep him out of prison, because too many who have ever come involved with him already have lives destroyed financially by association. It's what he does best. They pay his bad debts in hopes of what he keeps promising, that one day he will change. He attracts the most damaged human beings as water meets its own level. These weak and broken victims do not understand they're not special, they are routine. As a convicted felon, he doesn't care what happens to them. What has he got to lose? He has already gotten away with bigamy, nearly beating a wife to death, fraud, a real-life monster. What he did to our grandmother defies human comprehension, but not to him. He did not think twice of letting her die because of his actions. I'm sorry, Grandma Hattie. I was too young to protect you. Part 2 coming.